Thank you. Everyone thinks about changing the world, but no one thinks about changing themselves. This Leo Tolstoy quote offers insight into how anyone should deal with a dilemma as large as unsheltered homeless people. This quote makes his audience ponder what they could do to change themselves as well as positively affect others. This would be a tremendous benefit to humanity if people were to examine their individual impact in relation to the world around them. My name is Travis O'Brien, and the experiences I had on a trip to Hawaii were far more eye-opening than I could have ever imagined. Exploring the comparisons and differences between my home state and Hawaii intrigued me and left me wondering, how different are we really? Surely the geography and landscape is quite different, but the homelessness in Hawaii is so prevalent and governed and enabled by governing forces that I couldn't help but dig deeper. As a Wisconsin native, my exposure to other cultures, geographies, and ways of living were limited. This left me humbled by my experiences that I had on this trip. In my small town, homelessness was not a problem, even though low-income families did exist. However, in Hawaii, homeless people actually utilize the whole side of the main island. In these transient, makeshift villages bordering the beach, people live in poverty, finding shelter under wind-beaten and rain-tattered tarps. Affordable housing is an issue that faces many Americans. However, in a place that is perceived to be by many the vision of paradise, it is handled a little differently. Where I'm from, homeless people have an option of seeking shelters that are always funded by the state. In Hawaii, these same places exist, but they cannot handle the amount of people needing help. The overbearing issue has found temporary resolution by allowing homeless people to sleep in designated public parks and beaches at night when the tourists are out of view. I was introduced to different cultures other than my own, but was shocked by the amount of unsheltered homeless residents. These residents were mostly of Polynesian descent and had little hope for any type of escape from the island. I'm from a middle-class town where homelessness was not common, but if it were ever encountered, there would always be a shelter that would be willing to feed them and give them a clean and warm place to sleep. Though these shelters do exist in Hawaii, they are typically full, and it is because of this that Hawaii officials have resorted to allowing people to sleep in urban parks and beaches. According to Forbes, the Hawaiian state government has even gone so far as to offer one-way plane tickets back to the continental United States. This program has offered to send some people back, but only proves to be a temporary solution to a problem that will need a permanent one soon. The Midwest is, geographically speaking, in the middle of our continent. You could travel for thousands of directions in any particular direction, and you would never come across an ocean. However, Hawaii is isolated in the northern part of the Polynesian Islands, 2,500 miles in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Given my Irish heritage, it is acceptable and reasonable to assume that my ancestors came here from a different part of the world. However, none of them ever existed in the extreme isolation that Hawaii has. Between 1800 BC and 1595 AD, this culture went relatively undetected, and little was known about them. Hawaiian culture is based mainly off of Hawaiian culture is based off of ancient customs that are handed down from generation to generation. According to my grandparents, our heritage has never experienced anything like this. This has allowed our culture to westernize itself, while Hawaiians have retained their cultural integrity and been able to keep Western culture at bay. While researching homelessness in Hawaii, the Honolulu Civil Beat defined 3 separate types of homeless. Unsheltered, being people who live in cars beaches, parks, sheltered people who have nighttime residence but otherwise have no other place to live, and at risk, which pertains to people who are at risk of becoming homeless. The idea of having separate categories of homeless people was a shock to me. Simply not having adequate shelter is only part of the problem. With higher than normal prices for food, bottled water, and standard living expenses, it's easy to see how it is possible to get stuck in paradise. Unfortunately, many of these people do not see Hawaii as the perfect vision of paradise, but rather a place that has trapped them and offers very little room for escape. The homeless problem here was far more than I could have ever expected. However, the culture and geography changed considerably from my hometown. Though both places have homeless people, how to handle homelessness falls back upon the cultural norms and controls what is acceptable. It is in my opinion that being homeless in Hawaii is not perceived to be as devastating as it would be elsewhere, since it has become an acceptable state of being within the Polynesian community. The culture of Hawaii and Wisconsin differ greatly, and it is because of these differences, coupled with the geographic isolation, that perpetuate the problem of homelessness in Hawaii by making it something that is simply ignored because the poverty-stricken have nowhere else to go. The homelessness and transient issue in Hawaii illustrates how simply having a mode of transportation is not enough if you ever want to leave. Factors such as lack of employment and lack of affordable health care make it extremely difficult to ever save up for or outrightly buy a plane ticket to return home. Our experience was not only breathtaking, but also gave us a peek into a homeless person's daily life. In the city of Honolulu, we witnessed people on almost every single street corner begging for money. We encountered people who had set up illegal campsites within the city limits because they could not afford to pay the $30 per night camping charge. As of July 2013, state lawmakers began funding a Return to Home program, which offers the poverty-stricken a one-way ticket back to the continental United States and hopefully towards a brighter future. This is an obvious step in the right direction, but only focuses on removing the homeless population rather than controlling it by offering affordable housing solutions. The way homelessness is being handled in Hawaii is finally offering hope to a population of people who thought they had been trapped in a hell among paradise. The experiences we had in Hawaii will follow me throughout my entire life. The experience of being trapped somewhere with no way out is something that has made me begin to question ever going back to an island again. Unfortunately for some people living in this modern day paradise, they must live with this fear and ever-present concern every single day. At the end of our vacation, we were forced to stay longer than expected. We had exhausted our budget and had no clothes and no place to stay, facing the same problems that many of these people in Hawaii encounter every single day. After spending 2 days waiting in the airport, we were finally able to return home. We were both beyond relieved to be finally leaving the island that had trapped us for days longer while our luggage sat in a terminal in O'Hare. It is hard to compare 2 days of layover to an actual homelessness. However, our experience left us so full of anxiety and worry that we can't help but compare it to what the homeless population must feel living there. The Hawaiian landscape offers breathtaking views and set the stage for memories that can never be replicated. The lasting effect the island continues to have on my outlook of the world was unexpected, yet welcomed among my ever-changing perspective of the world. These experiences have allowed me to grow as a person and to accept other cultures on a much more personal level, as well as giving me an enlightened sense of the world we live in. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Take care and travel often.
Yay!
Thank you.